आत्मदर्शन टीवी के सभी दर्शकों को मेरा प्यार भरा जय यीशु। Today we are in Khasi hills of Meghalaya. Shillong is one of those places where Catholic presence began in Northeast. We are blessed to have with us the Archbishop of Shillong as one of our guests for today's program. We welcome Archbishop for this program. Archbishop, we are very delighted to have you with us. Can you kindly tell us how the Christian presence began in Shillong?
If we talk about Christian presence, we go back to the presence of what is now called the Presbyterian Church, which began as a Methodist church. The missionaries came from Wales, and in 1841 they set up the first mission in Cherrapunji, and they grew and they spread all over the place. And then in 1890 the Catholic missionaries came in here
in Shillong.
And the mission was entrusted to what we call now the Salvatorian Fathers.
Yes.
So they began their work in 1890, and the pioneer, his monument is close by here. One Father Hopfen Müller. Unfortunately he passed away just 6 months after arriving here in Shillong. He had been a very energetic leader of the church also in Germany, South Germany. That's why he was picked to lead this mission. But after that they carried on working here till 1915, when the First World War broke out. And 1914
they were
was
all
a
Germans.
War. Yeah, all Germans, Poles mixed up. But they had to leave the mission
after the war,
because they were Germans and we were in British territory then, and they were at war. And so after that the church was entrusted to the Jesuits, who were working in Bengal, the Belgian Jesuits. They had just, I think, a few people only. They took care of this mission for 7 years, 1915 to 1922.
So that's how the Jesuits landed up in Shillong.
Yeah. But then they realized, they found it difficult for them to carry on the mission. They asked Rome to entrust this mission to some other congregation. And they were looking around for a congregation, and the war had just been over, First World War, and many people had perished in the war. And then the Salesians courageously took up this challenge, and they sent their first group of 11 missionaries to come and take up the work here. Since then it has grown.
It has been a Salesian center.
1922 onwards. And later on, especially with the Vatican Council, the whole ecclesiology also changed, and the way in which we organize the church became different. And so the mission that was entrusted to the Salesian congregation now is entrusted to what we call the local church. And so the Salesians carried on working around here, but now the bishop is responsible for the growth of the mission.
And Northeast completely, if you speak, they have been very open to Christianity. And the culture, perhaps the Christianity has adopted the culture also so beautifully here. Can you tell us something about that as well?
One thing that was important right in the beginning was the fact that the Catholic missionaries, I speak of the Catholic missionaries, they had closeness to the culture, sought to understand better the local culture, even in spite of the theology at that time. And
before
Vatican II, and respected a lot of things. For example, we belong to what is called the matrilineal society.
Meghalaya.
Meghalaya, practically whole of Meghalaya. And so therefore, whereas Christianity is patrilineal, so normally it would have been, you change the system, but no, the church did not impose that kind of system change, even if church leadership and other things went in a different way. But we maintained the social structure, social system. Then the church structure itself, the organization of church, went along the lines of social structure and the division of a village or into villages, for example, how the responsible people are appointed. The same system was operating also in our church. And so it fitted quite closely to where we are. But one thing that was important was that in our church we have great respect for the dead in the Catholic Church. One of the concerns of the people, the anxiety of people, is question of life and death. What happens to me after my death? And when they see that church, like a Catholic Church, had a special respect for the dead, the cemeteries, prayers for the dead, and cemeteries, they were caretaken of the dead. It gave a lot of, let's say, it soothed the anxieties of the people, and so it was easier for them to accept here, accept Christianity. So therefore, it is not merely a question of social services provided by the church or whatever it is, that so enticements by missionaries. It was not that exactly. It was the very life of the missionaries that showed concern for the people, closeness to the people, and also the openness to whatever was going on in our society.
That was very well accepted. One more thing, the church, very especially the Catholic Church, has changed, has been instrumental or perhaps a catalyst in the development of the entire Northeast. Can you put some light upon that?
One of the important engagements of our church, even right from the times that the Salvatorians were here, even if they were limited in resources and so on, was the engagement with education. Already the Protestant missionaries, the Welsh missionaries, they undertook, like here in Khasi Hills, a very important step that put the language into writing, just what has happened in Garo Hills. They used a Roman script. So they spread the literature and wrote basic books and started primary schools to help us to be literate so that we can read and understand and preserve our language. And so the pioneer among them was one Thomas Jones of the Welsh Methodist Church. He is still remembered and revered now as a father of Khasi literature, written literature.
Did he translate the Bible as well?
They did translate the Bible, the first Protestant Bible. And so they went along that way. So when the Catholic Church also came inside, we had the advantage of having already a written language.
Script we have.
And this language was adopted all over the place. And so although in our place...
when you say all over the place, can you...
the whole of Khasi Jaintia Hills. What is now is covered in 3 dioceses. So if you go to a village, you'll realize that they speak their own dialect at home. And in some of the places, it is a dialect that I myself may not be able to understand every word. But in school and in church, we use a common language. And that bound us together, gave a sense of identity.
Which is that language?
Khasi language, our Khasi language. Like in the Garo Hills, we have got the Garo language, again which bound people together. So language became a sort of a binding force.
Preserve the culture as well?
Culture. Connected to it because, so the language is a binding force for people to come together. We understand one another. When we move around and we migrate to another place, we know that we will be understood. Then we can pick up the local dialect as well. So that is one very important step that was taken.
The language, in fact, we can say that language is a gift from the missionaries.
So education was also facilitated through the use of this language. Primary education in our local language was easily carried out because we had a common language to use. Then later on, especially here in Shillong, the Catholic Church took a very important step in 1934 to proceed to beyond school education to higher education, setting up a college. It was the first Christian college.
1934?
34, yeah, a Catholic college of the Salesian congregation. Before that, Christian brothers had already been running a college, but mostly for non-local people, mostly non-local people. And so here in this school that we had, what is called St. Anthony's College, which grew out of St. Anthony's School, close to where we live now. It was very important in providing higher education to the youngsters of the whole of Northeast India at that time, not only here in Khasi Hills, but now all over the Northeast India we find a number of higher education institutes of the Catholic Church. So there's a great blessing. So education was one of the important contributions of the Church, which brought about a transformation. Transformation in different ways, in that we begin to know our own language, appreciate our language, our culture, and therefore it helps us also because it gave an opening to a wider world. Yeah, otherwise we are stuck only with our own tribe. So that was important. The other important ministry that the Church provided was health ministry. Already the Protestants did something in that, but Catholic Church went quite strongly into this. And only in actually here in Shillong, only from 1959 we were able to start a small hospital. The Protestant Church already set up one hospital to serve the local population. But for us is that in every mission area, the priests were then the only source of help to the people.
Little bit trained.
Yeah, without training, but basic training on how to deal with basic sicknesses, particularly helping people to learn hygienic living, which prevents a lot of diseases. And so they were able to save a lot of lives. That certainly shows that how the gospel of Jesus that we live also is meaningful to the lives of the people.
Then coming back to the local situation here, how many tribes are?
Basically in Meghalaya we can speak about Khasi and Garos. Among the Khasis we have got many subgroups, among the Garos also subgroups, but we consider ourselves as one united group. The two societies, Garo Society and the Khasi Jaintia Society, we call Khasi Jaintia Society. Jaintia is mainly the group that is found in the eastern part of Meghalaya, the easternmost part, east of Shillong. So
Shillong diocese is mostly
Khasi Hills. Then we set up the new diocese in 2006 of Jawai, which is practically catering to the subgroup of the Khasis called the Jaintia group.
Just for a point of interest, is there any tension between these tribes?
No,
it's not like Nagaland.
No, there's no tension, and rather there is a lot of collaboration. Like here in Shillong, we minister to Catholics and Khasis and Garos. We have got a very sizable presence of Garo people from Garo Hills, another tribe speaking a totally another language, but we have got a common ministry for all of them. We have got a number of our parishes, which are majority are Garos.
I asked this particular question because people in North tend to believe that there are a lot of tension between the tribes here. Because we hear about Nagaland, there are a lot of tension. That's why I asked this particular question.
Nagaland, the tensions is mostly due to the move for autonomy by many tribes. But one thing that is very important for us to understand is that whereas before we had many groups, many tribal groups, even here in Khasi Jaintia Hills, there are many local kings which were in conflict with one another. Christianity has done one great thing, is that it's brought us to live the gospel and so do away with strife. And so we are united. What unites us, first of all, now as Christians is our common faith. I am a Khasi, I am a Christian. I go to Nagaland, I don't feel myself an alien because I share the common faith. I can go to Assam, among the Assamese or among the Adivasis who are Catholics, and I feel that I share a common faith. And I am accepted, especially even our own, not only priests, but ordinary people. They go there and they feel at home if there is a Christian presence there. So that is one important thing, that Christianity helps us to break walls of separation and division among people, and makes us open-minded and open-hearted to other cultures as well.
So now coming back to your diocese, can you tell us a little bit about your diocese?
Our diocese, which began as a mission in 1890, then in 1922 the solutions were there. It was then called Prefecture Apostolic. And it was officially erected as a diocese in 1934. 34.
Was it the first diocese then?
The first diocese of the whole Northeast India. And eventually now we have got 15 dioceses. From 1934 to now we have grown to 15 dioceses.
You have only one archdiocese at Shillong, right?
No, and now there are 3 archdioceses, Guwahati and Imphal. So there are 3 archdioceses. So this diocese has grown from 1934 onwards, and the growth has shown the fact that in 1950 Dibrugarh diocese was carved out from here, and later on gradually other dioceses came into being with the hard work put in by missionaries all over the place. Originally we had missionaries who came mostly from Europe. And we had Italians, Spaniards, French, Poles, Germans, all kinds of missionaries, not merely one country or one main ethnic group of missionaries, but
all Salesians.
That time was all Salesians. And but later on, when the government changed its policy, it didn't allow any more foreign missionaries to come here. That was a time when a lot of Indians came here, and our bishops here, they looked to the south part of India, both Tamil Nadu and Kerala, as sources of priests to come and help in the growth of the mission. And that was a very important step that took place, especially in the 1960s, when a number of priests came over from the south and helped to fill in the places that the foreign missionaries had to leave. And earlier, in 1923, the foreign missionaries came not merely as adults who could come to work here after being prepared abroad, but they came here at the age of 16 or 17, started their missionary preparation here as youngsters, leaving home, some of them never to return home again, and sacrifice everything in order to...
And they became later on priests?
Yeah, they were priests here. Few of them maybe have, due to health reason and other things, may have left, but practically most of them became really active missionaries here. A couple of them became bishops here, and so they carried on that work. So now later on we have also the same process. Many young people came from the south part of India, and some of my own companions came from Kerala. We studied together from 1963, and then so we had a good interaction with other members of the church from India as well. And later on from Assam itself, number of priests came from the Adivasi community, Boro community, Garo community, and we worked together. So that's one great example also that is shown to our people, that no matter how different we are Indians, you are Europeans, we are Khasi, you are Garo, you are Adivasi, or you are what, we can work together and we live together and we can share our common unity in the faith. I think that's another important perspective also, that from which we can see the growth of the church.
Coming again back to the diocese, what is your vision for the diocese?
For us, what we need to see is that the faith has become deeper among our people. We must have our people to know better and better what they believe in and what it means to be a Christian, especially as times keep changing and challenges to society, new challenges keep coming. And so this is where we have to strengthen the faith of our people. We are only so many years from 1890, and whereas southern India, for example, Kerala, Tamil Nadu. They have a longer history of Catholic Church, or you take Goa, Bombay, but we are just so many years. And so the task is immense, but I see there's openness and generosity on the part of many people to come forward and say we volunteer to help one another to grow in understanding the gospel, understanding the church. That is one important thing about growth in the faith. The other one is the question of let's say social relevance of the church in today. We know we have got the question of poverty among our people in the interior areas.
I didn't ask that question actually. What is a social situation of the people here?
In the city here of Shillong, it looks as if everything is okay, but urban poverty among these day wage laborers and migrants from the interior areas who come here living in rented houses, it is a very huge task I see to minister to them and also to help them they face a lot of challenges. And then for us now also to work in the interior areas and help people to stand on their own feet. And so the ministry of social service is a very important task also, that we have to make it now of a different style altogether. Earlier it was, I think all over the church, all over the country as well, is a question of charity. I do something to people and so. Now it is we provide what we call advocacy, or we provide knowledge, skills, so that the people can stand on their own feet. And that is where we are moving ahead. And the way is not easy, because we have to help our people to understand that you can't expect things to change only by waiting for government help. You cannot expect to change only waiting for church help, but you have to see what is the capacity that you have, so capacity building of our own people.
How about your Presbyterian, the priest support for you especially?
We have a very committed group of priests here, around 65 of them, and not many very senior priests. Majority of them are young people, full of energy, working together. And then we share also this work here in the church together with so many priests of other congregations. And not only the Salesians, we have got all kinds of congregations now working together. And we have a way in which we assemble together every month, we share our concerns, discuss, pray together. And then we have our diocese divided into 7 zones, just like some other dioceses. And so here, those parishes, no matter they are run by diocesan priests or by the religious priests, they come together, have common aims, common planning and common execution of their activities, so that there's a lot of sharing. This openness and sharing is important. If each one try to go it alone, do it alone, it will never reach anywhere.
What are the challenges that you face?
Because the challenges, of course, now is the lack of priests, really. If we had many more priests, it would have been so much easier to do the work that we are called to do. And also now the number of local priests are there already. Mostly we are local priests from this area. But then it is a very slow growth from the local church. We are making a lot of attempts to have a vocational drive and discernment of our young people. That is one thing. In the interior areas, the big challenge is the poverty of the people. If we set up the church must be able to stand on its own feet. But if the majority of the people are poor, how can they sustain it? We don't talk about foreign money, it is out of the question now. But so this is where helping the people to stand on their own feet and motivating them to make the church their own, that is a very important step. And one of the means in which I see now the establishment of the small Christian communities, which is also in many other parts of India, it has helped many people to open their eyes to see, this is my church, this is our church, we are responsible for it. Let us use whatever energy we have in order to build it up.
So SCCs are vibrant here?
Yeah, it is not all over the diocese, it takes time to pick up, But then where they are in about half of the parishes of the diocese, things are moving ahead and people are moving on. And one of the important things with it was not easy earlier, was to make sure that the children have their Sunday catechism education, which is a regular practice in the church in South, in Kerala particularly.
Most of the places.
But here it is a recent step that was taken. But I see so much enthusiasm among the children and the number of volunteers who go for it. And so that is one important thing. So it responds to the challenge of faith growth. Is we start young, with young people, with the children, and so on.
Coming back to a little personal questions, how did you receive your vocation, Swamiji?
Myself, okay. I grew up as a young kid. My parents became Catholics as youngsters. My mother, my father, and so on. And then we happened to live close to the seminary, which is now close to what is a museum. Maybe you will be able to visit it later on. And I was in close contact with all priests. We grew up in that environment. And so earlier on, I had that desire to become a priest. And I received a lot of support from my own parents, especially my father, who was a church worker, and the priests whom we met, and many brothers who were studying theology, whom we encountered. They were really very good. So from my home place, now we are about 16 priests who have come out from my parish.
Parish itself.
My
it's a big
parish, and there are plenty of sisters.
Are you the first one?
Before me there was one. Together with me there was another priest. Two of us joined. He went to the diocesan seminary, I went to the Salesian seminary, but both of us became priests. He passed away just 2 years ago. He was sick, and then so I'm here with this, and I'm happy to see that many young people also slowly, gradually understand responding. It's not easy in the present day world for a young person to say, I want to become a priest, when there are so many other opportunities in the world today. It needs a bit of courage.
So, during your years of formation, did you ever think that you will become a bishop?
No, I never thought about it. We just went, did what we had to do, especially being religious. I have my own ministry with young people, and whatever the religious superiors indicated to me. And I started my work as a priest, looking after youngsters for 3 years. Then they sent me to study liturgy abroad, and then I came back, was teaching. Then I carried out theologate. Then I carried out other ministries. I was sent to do some other ministries. Then I became the provincial of the congregation. And from there I was asked to become the bishop.
How many years were bishopric?
I was ordained a bishop in the year 2000.
2000.
Yeah, so 18 years now.
Anything else that you would like to tell us?
Yeah. Of course, one thing is that we owe the growth of the church here to this help that is given by so many people. Let's talk. Earlier, a lot of assistance in terms of personnel from abroad, then from the rest of India. And we were able to keep up the growth of the faith because of the solidarity that was seen, that we experience also. And this teaches us also one important thing, that there is no way of growing unless we grow together. And I'm happy to see that, for example, one of the organization in South India called Fiat Mission, in a small way, they try to sow the seed of solidarity.
And they're bringing the Bibles here?
Printing the Bible. We were able to print our own Bibles, but many other people had assistance to print the Bible from there. Then the question of youngsters, the youth. Youth are a very important force for us also to grow in the church. And here, more than 35% of our population is young. They say below 35 years. And the commitment of young people is very important. And we, in our tribal culture, we are very vibrant, and we like to associate it. We like to to move together and to grow together. There's no individualism that is encouraged. And so here we have a lot of groups, youth groups that are a strong force, and they help our young people to come together. And one of the very important involvement that was seen here is the involvement of the Jesus Youth among our young people, especially college-going youngsters. And now the presence of the Jesus Youth in practically all the colleges of Shillong is a very important step in ministering and reaching out to young people of that very critical period in their life. And so this is one sign of the solidarity of the church, we can say, where what was good and successful in one place is also being shared and being realized in our place through the commitment of those who started this movement here with perseverance and so on, and the young people who took up to the challenges of reaching out to other young people. It is one thing easy for us as priests and bishop and all to preach to young people and tell them this and that. It sometimes doesn't make much impact. But when a young person ministers to another young person, it makes a very, very, very strong impact. And I've seen this, let's say, a sort of miracle and a change in the life of our young people.
And they also make good leaders, I believe.
Yes, and so we have got many local youth leaders who have come up also. What we also see about the church is the impact of the church on political and social life. We would like to see more of that political involvement of our people in also in the civil society, the presence of people who live out their Christian faith. And so without antagonism to anybody, but we be a solid Christian, live by our values, which is not easy.
Not easy at all.
In the present day world, especially with challenges like corruption and ethnic strife and divisive type of policies of many people is not so easy. So to help our society to produce more and more such people is important. The other important challenge is that we as a church, we are not growing in isolation. We have to be connected with other churches, other religions. And we do have some occasions where we meet together in order to consider some of our common concerns. We have a group that meets together. And to have a church that is not closed upon itself, but rather that is open to the existence and to dialogue and to work together with other societies. So whether they're Hindus or Muslims or followers of our traditional religion or whatever Christian denomination, we all share the common future of our people. So if I'm a Christian, I am a Christian as a member of this society. If there are Hindus here, they all share the same concern and the future of our people. I think that is where we have to grow and where we have to work more, especially in present day world in which there is strife, one group against another group. We as Christians, we have the possibility and the message to say that Jesus did not come to divide people, but he wants to unite the whole world, and his message of love and mercy is important for this.
So thank you so much, Archbishop, for spending time with us, sharing and giving us a wide knowledge about the entire Northeastern Church, and we are very thankful to have spent this time with the Archbishop, and we wish him very best for the future, and we pray for the diocese as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you to you too, and to all the viewers. I ask them all to pray for us, especially for our church here in Northeast India, that we may live up to the mission that has been entrusted to us. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay.